In today's episode, we're taking you to the lovely harbour town of Cobh in County Cork, Ireland.
We'll share a little geography, a bit of history, and show you around the town, at least what we saw.
And stick around till the end when we'll give you hints about the Magic Garden, where you can find a place, if you're lucky, to take an iconic photo like this of this charming harbour town in Ireland.
Magic Garden, that sounds like something from the 60s or maybe early 70s, I don't know.
They might be from the 60s or 70s, I don't know. Just have to stick around to find out. But first things first, Cobh is arguably one of the most mispronounced place names in Ireland, wouldn't you say?
By Americans.
By Americans, for sure. It is not Cobh, it is pronounced Cobh. And the reason for that is that in the traditional Irish alphabet, there are only 18 letters, not 26 like there are in our English alphabet. There is no J, K, Q, V, W, X, Y, or Z in the Irish alphabet. The reason it's spelled C-O-B-H is because the remaining letters are used in a combined manner to form the other sounds. So BH sounds like a V. The town is called Cobh.
So actually we're still on day 4 of our trip. We crammed quite a few things in one day. So when we left Middleton, we headed west on the N25 and headed to the R624 south. We looked at our maps and could only see one route from Middleton to Cobh. In actuality, there is only one road. The road took us over a small channel of the River Lee on a bridge called the Bell Valley Bridge, constructed in 1803. There are other ways to get on the island, of course. So once across the bridge, you're on Great Island in Cork Harbor. And from what I can see, it's the largest of several islands in Cork Harbor.
In 1993, actually, the Cross River Ferry was established to take cars and people across the River Lee to Cobh. It's about a 4 to 5 minute ride, and it operates daily, although there is an occasional shutdown when there's bad weather or during the holidays. So you want to be sure and check online on their Facebook page or give them a call to make sure they're operating if there's any question in your mind about that. Also in Cork and Cobh Harbor are Spike Island, which is known as Ireland's Alcatraz, and Spike Island is also the location of the world's first yacht club, and that dates back to 1720. Also in the harbor are Foda Island, which has a nature preserve and wildlife preserve there, as well as a resort and spa. And correct me about the pronunciation of this, I know you will.
I can't help you.
Haulbowline Island, or perhaps it's pronounced Haulbowline Island. If you're from Ireland, please let us know in the comments below how that's pronounced. But that happens to be the headquarters for the Irish Naval Service.
So let's talk about the town of Cobh for a minute. It has approximately 14,200 residents in the town. And its original name was Cobh, and it kind of stood for the Cove of Cork. And then I believe they just shortened it to Cobh until around the mid-1850s, when the Queen of England changed the name to Queensland, and it remained Queensland up until 1920. Then it was changed back to Cobh as it was originally.
And that was during the Irish Revolution,
Yes.
wasn't it?
Yes.
When Ireland claimed their independence from England. So we headed down into Cobh, and it's a very hilly town. We found a great place to park behind St. Colman's Cathedral. It's pay parking, very easy to get in and out of. We were on a mission to find the deck of card houses, which are very famous. You see pictures of them and videos of them everywhere, and I was dying to see them for myself. So we headed across the town a little bit and found what we thought were deck of cards houses, and they do look similar to that, but they were not the ones I was looking for.
We're seeing them from the wrong direction.
We were. After we decided those were not the deck of card houses that we were looking for.
These aren't the droids you're looking for.
These aren't the droids we're looking for.
But now, since we realized it was going to take us a little longer to find them, we were on a different mission.
We're on a mission from God.
So from there, we headed in to tour St. Colman's Cathedral. Now, St. Colman's Cathedral is not one of the oldest cathedrals in Ireland. It actually was started in 1869, but was not completed until 1919. And it was completed way over budget. They kept deciding to make it bigger and grander, and it is quite an elaborate church. It is in the French neo-Gothic style. It has a lot of very interesting architectural features. It has flying buttresses, gargoyles, just amazing things. It's made of limestone with a blue Belgian slate roof. We spent quite a bit of time just looking at the outside of it.
It's gorgeous.
It is.
Fascinating.
It's the tallest cathedral in Ireland. And when we looked this up, Dublin's St. Patrick's Church in some places is stated to be the tallest church in Ireland. And it may be that one's a church, one's a cathedral. We did find that St. Pat's is 69 meters tall, whereas St. Colman's is 91.4 meters tall. St. Colman's Cathedral also has the only carillon in Ireland. It has 49 bells. They have a musician who plays the carillon on a regular basis. The largest bell in the carillon weighs 36 tons, and with the 49 bells in the carillon, that is the most bells of any carillon in the British Isles, in fact.
Impressive.
Now, we did read some blogs and find out that if you are staying close to the church, the fact that they ring it on a regular basis for quarter hour, half hour, hour, it can be quite annoying.
If you're staying.
Yes, if you're staying
anywhere,
close by.
Probably anywhere in the town.
But we thought it was very charming.
It is.
The inside of the church was absolutely stunning. There was a lot of statuary, beautiful woodwork, amazing stained glass. There was a rosette window in stained glass. There was mosaic tile work that was in Celtic designs. It was just a beautiful church, and it is an active parish.
Yes, it is.
At that point, we ventured out and were looking for the actual deck of cards houses. And we did find them. We headed that direction and up the hill, and the hills are quite steep. Put good shoes on.
And if the streets are wet, be careful.
Yes. The deck of card houses have been compared by one Irish blogger, Laura Grace Adventure Travel, to the Painted Ladies of San Francisco. And I can see where she could compare those. The deck of card houses are so called because they resemble the house of cards that people would build by stacking cards on top of each other. And they do actually look quite a bit like that from certain angles. And the fact that it's on a steep hill really brings that out. So we had seen these iconic photos of the deck of card houses, and we were on a mission to find where these photos were taken. So we climbed the hill, we found the houses, and walked up the street that the houses were on, and up close they're very beautiful as well. And we took several different shots of them, but we couldn't quite find the right place. We found a lovely park and past it, kept kind of roaming around, but we did finally find the view we were looking for.
We knew we had to keep heading to a higher elevation.
Yes, at the end we'll give you a little more detail about how you can find that. We did meet some lovely people while we were there overlooking the town from the Magic Garden.
One of the people we met was a lady that was out on her own, and we talked, and she was looking for the same photo op that we were. She took a photo of us, we took one for her. We were headed down the hill, and there was an older lady that was carrying 2 or 3 shopping bags, and they looked quite full. And I said, that's quite a walk up the hill with those. And she goes, yes, it is. I do it 6 times a day. And I'm going, dang, that's a good workout.
It was impressive.
Good for you, yeah.
On our way down the hill, we passed Westview Park, which is instrumental in following the hints to locate the Magic Garden. We went around the corner. It was a lovely neighborhood. They had what I would call fairy doors, little arched doors in the stone walls, and it was just very charming. So we continued down the hill through an archway to Casement Square, and the music was live music outside the pub Mauritania. And there was a man there playing guitar and singing. He was kind of alternating between popular songs and traditional Irish songs, and people were singing along. This was a weekday, wasn't it, Chris?
It was a Monday, and it was a lively crowd. And I guess it is kind of a tourist town, so you will have an opportunity to have that more often. Most times when you head someplace on a Monday afternoon, there's not a lot going on unless it's a holiday or something.
In the middle of Casement Square is a memorial to the RMS Lusitania, a British passenger ship from the Cunard Line, which in May of 1915 was torpedoed by a German U-boat and sank in 20 minutes off the coast of Ireland. And the recovery efforts were actually headquartered in Cobh. So they were able to save more than 700 people, although more than 1,100 people died. One reason why this was important, this was in World War I. The United States was not yet involved, but when the Lusitania was hit, 128 Americans died aboard that. And that was very instrumental in changing the public sentiment about the U.S. joining World War I. So we continued on down toward the water to Waterfront Park, which is John F. Kennedy Park. Lots of flowers, you're right on the waterfront. There was a playground for children, fountains. There was a beautiful sculpture called The Navigator, and we'll put a link below about the interpretation of that. We continued walking along the waterfront and just enjoying the beautiful day, all the flags that were flying, and they were really flying.
Quite windy. The Port of Cork is the world's second largest natural harbor.
As we continued on down the port, we came to some immigrant statues. One of them showed a young girl and two little boys, and this was a statue in honor of Annie Moore. Now, Annie Moore was 17 years old when, on January 1st of 1892, she arrived with her two younger brothers as Ellis Island's first immigrant received. They had just opened it on New Year's Day, and she was the first person to be received there. She got a $10 gold coin, which is probably more money than she'd ever seen in her life.
Right.
And the reason she was traveling there with her two brothers, her parents had gone ahead to the U.S. 2 years prior. And so once they got things settled, then they sent for Annie and her brothers, and they traveled to the U.S. by ship. And there also is a statue at Ellis Island of Annie Moore. However, we did notice that in this statue, Annie is by herself, so we were a bit concerned. Now, her brothers did arrive safely, right along with her. They were met at the port by their parents, but we're pretty sure that after riding across the Atlantic Ocean on a ship with her two younger brothers, she was ready to be away from them. You have a brother.
I do.
I have two brothers. You know how that is.
We couldn't ride in a car together.
He's touching me. He's touching me.
Yes. Can't leave out the name of Anne Bonny. Even though we can't find out too much about her other than she apparently had left this harbor at a younger age back in the early 1700s, and she became a pirate in the Caribbean.
It's thought that she came from Cobh originally.
Yes.
But they haven't really been able to prove that.
They have an idea about when she died, but no idea where she died.
Female pirates. That's exciting.
Imagine that.
That was girl power in the early day. Girl power.
Girl.
Also on the waterfront is the Cobh Heritage Center. And the Cobh Heritage Center is actually located at the original disembarkment office for White Star Line. We mentioned before that Cobh had a connection to the Lusitania. It also has a very strong connection to the Titanic. Cobh was actually the Titanic's last port of call. They took on 123 passengers in Cobh. April of 1912, the Titanic, which was a cruise liner, largest passenger ship ever built, struck an iceberg and sank in 3 hours. There were 1,496 deaths. So in the Heritage Center is the Titanic experience. We did not go through it, but it looks very interesting. They ticket you as a person who was on the Titanic. You find what this person did, you see what kind of a room they stayed in, and at the end you find out what the outcome was of this person's stay on the Titanic. Were they a survivor? Were they not a survivor?
Oh, so you take on a character.
You do, which I think would be fascinating.
Could be.
It would really put you in the situation, I think, and make you feel more about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So while we're on the subject of cruise ships, we also must mention the Port of Cork also has Ireland's largest dedicated cruise berth. Last year it brought in over 100 cruise ships and liners. And the activity in the harbor by the cruise liners contributes millions of euros in revenue for the local economy and for the Port of Cork company.
The largest cruise ship that's ever docked there is Disney's. One
I
of
think
Disney's
that was
cruises.
last year.
And there are quite a few cruise liners that come in there from different companies. Cove is a lovely place to stop on a cruise, I would think.
It would be, yes.
At that point, we'd done quite a bit of sightseeing and walking up and down the hills, so we were ready to have something to wet our whistle a bit. We had heard about the Commodore Hotel, which was opened in 1855, so it's quite a historic place. It was originally called the Queen's Hotel, named after Queen Victoria. Being so old, it was in existence and open when the Lusitania incident happened and when the Titanic incident happened. It's a beautiful building, both outside and inside. We had a drink in the bar. I had a cider, I think, and
You know what I had, a pint of Guinness.
the bartender was very nice. We spoke with him at length and met some local patrons. We met a man who was actually off of one of the cruise ships, and he had stopped in for a drink. We walked around the hotel a little, very old-fashioned looking. It's nice.
Very nice hotel, yes.
It was. So if you're enjoying this video, be sure and give us a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, it doesn't cost anything to subscribe. We really enjoy interacting with our subscribers, with the comments back and forth, and we'd love to hear from you.
Thanks to all of our subscribers and all the viewers. We really appreciate that.
Now, for the information about the Magic Garden. In order to find the Magic Garden, you'll have to look at the perspective that the photos were taken from. Look at the location of Westview Park and look at the location of the houses and the cathedral. This will give you some hints as to where to find it. When you think you haven't gone far enough, keep going up, wouldn't you say?
Up to the next level that you can get to.
Yes. As you walk away from the cathedral at that level and away from the houses and turn back and look that way, there's a stone wall. Now, right before the stone wall, there's a gate, a wooden gate. It happened to be open the day we were there, and that was the location of the Magic Garden. It is on private property. We found some very entertaining signs there, and you might want to take a few euros in your pocket if you're going, because there is a fund that they ask you to donate to if you're going to take pictures there. If the gate is not open, please do not climb the gate. Please do not climb the wall.
No.
If the gate is not open, continue past the gate with the stone wall on your left. Turn and hold your camera or your phone above the wall and snap the pictures. Then bring it down and look and see if you have the perspective you want. Move one way or the other. Please do not climb the stone wall.
Not safe and just not good form.
Right, right. It's not being a good visitor to Cove. We were very fortunate to be able to be there when the gate was open, and it was obvious from the sign that we were welcome to come in and take pictures, and we did that. And I was so excited when we found it because it was exactly the view I was looking for.
She was giddy.
I was. So we hope you can find it. We hope you're lucky enough to find the gate open. If not, reach above with your camera and shoot the picture over the wall. If you've enjoyed this video and you're interested in finding some more fabulous waterfront views, take a look at one of our videos on Musenden Temple and Downhill Domain, which is in Northern Ireland.
Over here.
Right? And if you'd like to see more on cathedrals or church ruins, take a look at our other video
Over here.
on the Rock of Cashel. And we will see you next time on this second half adventure.
See you then. Thanks very much.
Bye-bye.